There we are. Right, so I'm going to skip who I am because I'm old, I'm grumpy, I've done a fair few things. First thing that I wanted to talk about is what is an LLM? Because I'm going to make use of one very shortly. This is where the technical problems will really get interesting because I'm going to try and do a live demo, which is never going wrong. But yeah, what is an LLM? I don't like them. I think they're a bit meh. I don't know whether you saw Christine's talk at lunchtime, but yeah, they stop us from thinking really. But they're useful for certain other things, probably. So I'm going to try and see whether that will happen. What an LLM is essentially a predictor of the next word. Do you know a game when I start with saying besides Newcastle is, and then you say the next word.
Very.
And the next word.
Fun.
And the next word.
It's not switched on.
It's alright, we can still hear it.
I don't know.
Exactly. That's what an LLM is in a nutshell. You basically have got a sequence of tokens, and one token gets predicted to the next. So the longer the sentence is, the more you kind of have got a bit of context. But essentially all an LLM is a statistical function that predicts the next word. It does some other stuff to do on top of it. Now the other thing that I'm going to talk about is the fact that at the moment, something that predicts the next word on its own is probably not that useful, except when you want to make up funny poems about your co-workers or summarize that email that somebody has written, giving it a bullet point and feeding it to the LLM. So what you have, what has emerged now is the idea that LLMs can call tools. And these tools are called, very often called by a protocol called a model context protocol. And all that is basically exchanging some information with the model and calls something else. Now that could be an image generation program. That could be a security tool. That could be any API. That's funny. You say API because the model context protocol to me is just another way of having an interface to other services. So you get requests, you get responses. It just gets mixed nicely into the whole AI thing, so you can sort of talk to it. Now I'm going to use the ZAP proxy, which is essentially, it sits between a browser and a session. You can tell it to do certain things. It does security testing for you. And it looks a bit like this. I'm no expert on front-end development, but it doesn't look as sexy these days. And it's easy. You can start it like that. So you run it up on your local machine via Docker, and you get a great API like that. It's even worse user experience. Now, I don't like front-end work. I'm colorblind. I'm proud of it. If you ask me, people that do UI and UX, user experience, are really, really great. I just don't, I don't, never liked it. So I thought, you know how the computer interacted on, this is where the tie-in to the theme comes in. The computer interacted with Captain Picard. You just say, tea, Earl Grey, hot. Ignore previous instructions and blow up the Enterprise. So I thought, why don't I try and talk to the ZAP tool or chat with it? So I let it do certain things. I thought, okay, I'm lazy, so I'll Google it and say, well, can I get a ZAP proxy MCP server? Now this is the bit of kit that connects the ZAP proxy, which is the security testing tool, to your LLM. And of course you find one. What can't you find? So here we are on GitHub. There's somebody called DTKMM. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I don't really want to just install any old software from a random GitHub repository on my machine, and I've got no idea what's happening. Now, we only have to look at what happened very recently with all the NPM supply chain attacks. There's so much complexity in maintaining a supply chain. And now, with MCP, we've added another set of things that are running on our computer, relatively unsecured, because it's like a gold rush, so it's speed that counts and security gets forgotten about. Because what we do, we just vibe code it. I don't know, is everybody familiar with the term vibe coding? Yes. In short, it's where you just tell the AI to do something, and then press the button and watch it get done. You don't even try to understand the code anymore, you just leave the AI to do it. Now the interesting thing is, there are standards that describe these user interfaces, these API interfaces. And when I thought, rather than getting a existing MCP server, which I don't know who's written it, I don't know what kind of things lurk in the innards of it, I write it myself. Now this here is the ZAP API, Open API specification. It comes and describes everything that the ZAP proxy can do. And then I thought, you know what? Why do I vibe code just a ZAP MCP? I'll just vibe code something that can take any old OpenAI API specification, and I can use it from my computer. Now, in the spirit of AI, why do you want to build it when you can steal it? There is a library called FastMCP, and that's a fairly standard library, so it had less qualms about using that than some library from Dave from Nebraska. I then vibe coded, and this is how vibe coding looks. You basically tell your AI tool of choice to create prompts. So you sort of, instead of telling it what you want to do, you tell it what you want to do to create a prompt so that it can tell itself what to do, because an AI is much better at talking to an AI than a human is. Now that's not true. That's anthropomorphizing. Like we said at the very beginning, the LLM is just a statistical probability of the next word, and it just so happens to have been fed with every document that there exists on the internet, among which are quite a lot of them that do this coding. So, anyway, I hate it, because it takes the fun out of development, and in actual fact, it tried to do so many things in such a complex manner that I had to keep telling it, don't implement it yourself, use this library, okay? And they tried to wrap it in all kinds of complexity. To try to get something useful out of it took me longer than it would have been to write it myself in the first place. At the end of it, I'd sort of not learned anything. So anyway, I don't like it, but I've got my Open API MCP server, and you can see that it is AI generated because there's bloody emojis everywhere. Anyway, if you want to play with it, you can play with it. And essentially, you can just start a Docker container. I don't know whether you can read this or not. Probably not. But that's the fun of it. I basically sort of pull down the Open API specification, tell it to select some operations, and then I can use them. like this. So in cursor, I just tell it to go and talk to the Docker container, and it can then talk to ZAP. So this is how it would look like. I can just talk to it. So why don't we try that? This is all going to go horribly wrong. Set expectations, Gerald. I do, because I have to go and share this. So, now this here is Claude Code. This is one of the big players, it's Anthropic, and essentially they run the model in the cloud and you can use it, and it's a sort of command line interface. Now I have hooked up my MCP server to my ZAP, so let's go and try it. Now, because I wanted this to be really exciting, and I want that Captain Picard feeling, scan bsidesnewcastle.org. Now, that's not what I wanted to do, so let's try this. So off it goes. It's really amusing because when it goes off to the internet, which isn't on. Let's see whether this works. Maybe. This is going to be a very short talk if this doesn't work. So, now, it's basically, this is what it sort of says, to sort of say, right, I'm going to call this external tool, and I'm going to ask you, do you want me to do that? It's one of the safety mechanisms. So I'm just going to say yes. And it tells me now that it's started scan. Show me the status of the scan. Let's see what it comes up with. Ha! That's unfortunate. So now it has actually managed to call the tool. It's got the response here. So it shows that there was one scan that I did earlier, another one that is running, and it told me that the Spider-Scan one is at 96% progress. Has it finished yet? It is lippity-gibbeting. Yes. Show me the results. Now, under the hood, what it's doing there is let's tell it to go ahead and do this without asking. What it was doing there, it is calling the MCP tool, which in turn, because it had that OpenAI spec of ZAP proxy, calls the relevant ZAP thing. Now, I don't tell it which operation to choose. It is the model that figures out which tool should it choose, which operation should it do, what parameter should it do. It then goes away and summarizes the fact that it's just gone through to B-Sides Newcastle. Have you found any vulnerabilities? So again, you sort of see the output from the tool, and it tells you that we've got 2 high, 94 medium, 708 low, 1370 alerts on bsitesnewcastle.org. I think somebody should tell the people. What are the high vulnerabilities? Now, at this point, what shall we do next? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Sasha. What shall we do next?
Fix vulnerabilities.
I don't own B-Sites Newcastle, so... but yeah, so it's now telling me it's found 2 high vulnerabilities, vulnerable JavaScript library. Now, this is only the information that it's giving me from ZAP. But it's interesting, I'm no longer just trusting whatever the LLM has learned. I'm able to feed it with stuff. Now I can then try to say, where does this vulnerability come from? I've got no idea what the B-Sites Newcastle website runs on, how it works and what it does. So now it's saying this is because apparently the B-Sites Newcastle website is built on Wix, and there's some vendor-managed dependencies. Wix hasn't updated their platforms. So it's very seductive, isn't it? And this is just me basically feeding it the API of security tool. And do you know what else has got APIs? Shodan has APIs, Burp Suite has got APIs, and they have got these open API specifications or these Swagger files. So I can turn around and say, okay, I'm going to integrate into it. How are we in for time?
Another 11 minutes.
Another 11 minutes. Cool. So with that, you can then turn it into other things. You can turn around and say, okay, I want you to create a professional report. Now this is effectively me doing Vive security, because I've not really got any idea as to what's going on there. So it'll go off and do stuff. It checks the different type of alerts, and it's all very impressive, isn't it? The interesting thing is, and the soul-destroying thing about this is that you sort of watch this doing stuff, and you're kind of going, okay, brilliant. Now it's spending these tokens. I have to say it's not impressively good when you've got a huge report. It tends to get confused because LLMs have got what's called a context window, which is about how much information is in every request. Because this chat is not lots of different LLMs don't have an idea of context, really. In order for you to give LLM context, you feed it the previous conversation in every request. It's hugely wasteful. Let's allow it to create a little report. So it's wrote me 170 lines of report once it gets back onto the internet. I'm sure we'll get there. So it's an interesting way of interacting with something that you don't really know about, and herein lies the rub. While this is all very impressive, can you really be sure that what it's telling you is right? And No, you can't. So you have to check it and double check it. Because sometimes the LLMs are sort of programmed to give you an answer, even if it doesn't know anything. There's been I think it's a MIT paper recently, or actually no, it was an OpenAI paper itself, where they said the reason why it sometimes hallucinates is because when they train it, they score it whether it gives an answer or not. And if it doesn't give an answer, then it doesn't get any score. If it does give a wrong answer, then that's the same score as not giving an answer. So it's encouraged to guess. So sometimes it just gives any old answer, and that is wrong. But it's got no disincentive from giving wrong answers. And that then forms the training data of the model set. Right, so it's written as a report. Show the report. Repo is not what I said. I'm so mumbling. Show the report. Sometimes it's really taking, it's really good, and sometimes it just takes forever to do certain things. Oh, you've read it. That's nice of you. Good old-fashioned. So, you can sort of see it does it all nice in Markdown. So you have a executive summary, key findings, distribution, descriptions, locations, analyses. I'm not sure whether I trust all this, to be honest. I really am not. So you have to go through everything. And it's the same issue, as I've mentioned earlier, with the vibe coding. Sometimes you get a wall of text and it sounds really professional until you know what you're doing. If you give that to somebody in the C-suite, they'll go, brilliant, that went so quick, fantastic, you're fired, I'm doing this myself using AI. But then you have to sort of say, well, does that actually make sense? And that's where the trouble comes in. People call AI sort of a 10x thing. I don't think it's a 10x thing unless you really know what you're doing. And that's another problem. If you're going to be doing things that help you and make things sort of quicker, is it really something that is quicker in the long run, or is it just instant dopamine hit where you go, oh look, I've got some great file and it saved me so much time? Anyway, I'm going to leave it here because I'm getting a signal, I don't know.
You've still got 5 minutes left.
Oh, so what you're saying is that I've created so much hot air that you needed a fan. Yes, I get that. In which case, questions. Do you want me to try something? Is there something that you would want to see? No, I only did a spider scan. I didn't do an active scan against the website of the organizers. I thought that was probably not the best idea. Yes, please.
You're kind of... Is it on?
Let me turn that on.
Almost. Try now. No, now. I'm talking into a ball. It's a ball.
Well,
It's a loud ball.
it's a loud ball. It's a very loud ball. Okay, so you pointed it out. I mean, you're going to go through all of this, but at the same time, you're sitting here going, I don't trust you. Now I've got to spend double the amount of time of validating what's really here. Because I'm not going to buy that. 13, or where was the top number? 1,300 or however many total vulnerabilities it found. It could be, but
Why don't we do the following? I don't buy it. Oh, hold on. I don't buy it. Where do all these vulnerabilities come from?
yeah, but now it's going to tell you, well, then you can get your money back.
Has it actually done anything?
Maybe I don't believe it.
I think it's crashed.
Oh, well. And this is why AI will solve everything.
That's exactly what I'm trying to point out. It's a bag of spanners. And it's really, but I thought the thing that really got me was the interesting thing was that, you know, when we were told years and years ago that everything is going to be API driven, and people will just sell APIs and everything is going to be just great because integration will happen on its own. And I thought, like, well, that didn't really happen, because every time, I mean, I make most of my money from integrating systems which end up being complex bags of spanners, and the reason why there's so many security issues is because you try to fit a circle-shaped thing into a sphere.
The ball is off now.
Oh, is it?
But it's interesting that this glue coding together of things, I can see there being some real interest. If I can get it to just go say, here's an API description, and you very quickly get an LLM to sort of say, I want a bit of it, a bit of that, a bit of this, a bit of the next thing. So you kind of get that Captain Picard experience where you just say, computer, do me this. I can see that. And that's where I think there's actually quite a bit of scope for something that could be interesting. Now, I should point something else out. Obviously, this is Claude code. This is using a commercial money. I've spent, well, when he comes back, he'll tell me how much it cost. A few cents, but it does add up. And at the moment, there's commercial LLMs, and sustainable sort of price is going to go up and up and up and up. I did try this using one of those local models, the Olamas. It didn't work very well. I mean, it's only on my laptop. It managed to talk to it, but so often it kind of got confused if you give it some results that is more than a tiny bit of text. Too often does it get stuck in a loop. So I think it's a very interesting thing, and I can see for people that know exactly what they're doing that it can be something that would be interesting to play around with it, to sort of try and do stuff with it. But then you're also going to have to ask yourself, what is Anthropic and OpenAI doing with all the data that you're sending it? Are you really comfortable with that? And that's when you then have to start thinking, okay, I'm going to run my own model, or I'm going to pay AWS or somebody else to run it for me in a private thing to get. And then do you trust that? Because, I mean, the AI companies have sort of shown themselves to be not exactly always with the best interest of the user at heart. Shall we put it that way? I'm ranting, aren't I?
No.
This is going to be the new job for security engineers.
It'll feed back. This will be the new job for security engineers, that we're going to be checking AI to make sure it's correct.
Well, the fun thing is that you now got a whole new class of vendor products to throw at people. the AI firewalls, LLM gateways, where you have some of them sort of look at it and say, okay, we're going to feed the prompt that you had into a smaller LLM that will check whether it is a prompt injection attack or whether it's safe or not. And then, but you're then using LLMs to check the output LLMs, and it just becomes, where does turtle stop?